So hey there, how you doing? So I thought I'd do a quick little on the road, killing some time video. So essentially I've just perched my phone onto the dashboard, just having a conversation. So again, nothing too distracting, just kind of where I'm at, what I'm doing, that type of deal. So it's a long weekend in Canada, Labor Day, so I'm going up north a little bit, visit some family, and I'm in a road trip essentially mode. So I thought I would talk about the car. So this weekend I have my Outlander back. So normally it's out for 2 weeks or 3 weeks of the month. So it's kind of nice to be able to get behind the wheel and actually go for a little run, put some kilometers on it, kind of just get an overview of where it's at and kind of the feel for it from that standpoint. Normally I drive the Jag. So again, this is just a nice change up. And it's a beautiful kind of almost fall day, so pretty decent from that standpoint. But I thought I'd cover, I did a video about a year ago about just a general review of the Outlander and kind of the features and functions on it, that type of deal. Not a lot of views, but a few. And I just talked about the car in general, right? So I thought I'd recap that because we're coming up to a year and kind of what has my 1 year experience been in a pre-owned Mitsubishi Outlander from 2014 in 2025, right? So again, you kind of get an idea if you're out there looking for one, and just kind of the day-to-days on how it's been working out. So things that I've noticed, it is a 2014, but it does ride and drive like it's from the 2000s. So again, it's a little dated from that standpoint, so it's a little older as far as technology is concerned, as far as the ride. So if you're hopping into it, think it's going to be a brand new, innovative, smooth as silk SUV. It's not. It's kind of a throwback to a certain extent, even though it does have some modern characteristics and styling and some features to it. It still feels very much like an older vehicle, so something to be aware of. The 18-inch tires on the Outlander, so I've replaced them when I bought the vehicle. I put on the, I think it's Geolanders. So I put on the tires that were originally on the vehicle, same brand, same everything. They don't wear very well, so in all likelihood next season I'm going to switch them out to probably a Firestone or a Michelin, something a little more bread and butter. Observations I've noticed is that the tire choice on this particular vehicle from the OEM, from the manufacturer, is a 225/55 R18. It's a fairly narrow tire for an SUV. And because of that, you tend to feel a lot of the ruts and a lot of the little blemishes in the road. It's meant to, I guess, help you with cornering and give you that sense of, well, I can feel it in the steering wheel, that sensation. The dilemma is the vehicle is kind of a little bit bulbous and big. So in other words, it's not really designed for cornering. So the tires don't really match up what the vehicle is engineered for from the manufacturer. And I've done a little bit of research online with the forums, and they all seem to suggest move up to a 60 series or a 65 series. So they're saying just jump up a size, and it resolves a lot of issues. So I think I'm going to do that probably next season. So I'll throw the snow tires on. When it comes time to replace the snows, I will probably, in all likelihood, move into something a little more mainstay, a little bit bigger. I think that'll solve a lot of the issues as far as the drivability of the vehicle is concerned. Not that it's bad, it's just one of those things where when you get in this type of vehicle, you think, okay, it should be a little softer. It's a road trip vehicle. So it's one of those things I've noticed. The second row seats, they're like an origami design. You got to fold left, right, hit the switch, just move them down. It doesn't go flat completely unless you pull the headrests off. It's really a bizarre, kind of an oddball, older design, I think. So are they inherently bad? No. But if I were hauling cargo on a daily basis with this and needed to move the seats up and down repeatedly, it would probably drive me slowly insane, whereas any other vehicle that I've kind of been in this category, it's usually just pull the lever, fold it down, and you kind of have that right there. So I don't know if they've engineered it so it lowers the seat down so you get a little more space, or I'm not sure what the deal is with it, to be honest with you. It's just awkward. So something that I've noticed as far as that 1 year type deal. So folding the middle seats are a bit of a hassle. Once you get a hang of it, you kind of get used to it, but it's one of those things you kind of go, it feels strange just doing it. Other little things, the warnings on this, again, because they're a little older, they're not really intuitive. They're either on or off, like the lane departure. With Ontario roads, I find, because we've got some ruts and potholes and the roads are misshapen, not the best road conditions in the world, not the worst either, but you get the idea. It sets them off periodically, so you start to ignore them. Like, they kind of just become kind of a background noise when you're traveling. The brake mitigation system, very impressive. Like that a lot. The dilemma with it that I find is it's kind of tricky when it's engaged. So if you go to the cruise control, you can actually see the markers as far as where it's kind of braking and where it's not. It doesn't do that during the regular drive. It's still functioning, like it's working right now, but you wouldn't know that. So it's one of those indicators that are not on the screen, which I think if you look at a newer one, I think you'd see that there'd be an indicator saying that brake assist or brake mitigation is active. It doesn't really tell you that on the screen, even though it is active. So it's one of those things that just quirky. Cruise control shows it. Driving without cruise control on it is on, but you don't get that little markers on the display. So, observation there. Parts in Ontario, Canada for this particular model. The Mitsubishi dealer doesn't really support it. So it's one of those things where I call up the dealer, they never have anything in stock. It's usually a warehouse location. It's a week to 2 weeks out to get anything. So it's a bit of an annoyance from that standpoint. Luckily, the 3-liter that's in this is in a multitude of vehicles. So if you do a little research, you usually cross-reference it, and you'll find that an oil filter is available, and you can get it through UP Napa. If you need to get anything related to emissions components that are proprietary, they're almost non-existent. So it might be a combination of just the sign of our times, kind of where the parlance, you might say, it is. Have no control over that, but it's one of those things that I've noticed that if you're into an older Mitsubishi with some technology behind it, you may have a hard time getting support from the dealer end, at least in Ontario, Canada. Luckily, the internet's a wonderful world. You can usually get it off of eBay. It just means that you've got to kind of do a little bit of research or a little bit of acknowledgement and kind of dig for the parts first before you start getting into the work. So just observation from that standpoint. Everything else over the last year has been no surprises. Had a couple TURO hosts that ran into some issues, literally ran into some issues. So stuff that is TURO related that I have talked about in the live session, so it's worth going and checking out the live. It's an eye-opener if you're a first-time person on TURO. You're just kind of getting an idea what it's all about. I would say go check out the live sessions. You'll get like an overview of, pretty extensive overview of kind of the daily rental stuff. So am I happy with TURO? Yeah, so far I'm okay with it. It's nothing spectacular. It's not one of those things where I would say, hey, go out and invest your family fortune into it. But if you had a spare car kicking around, or you want to do the 1 year intent to see how you like it, I'd say give it a try. I wouldn't go and buy a high-end exotic right out of the gate without a little bit of investigation to see, is this a vehicle that would work for you and make sure the ROI is balanced. But we talk about that again in the live session, so it's worth going and checking those. So again, this is just me shooting the breeze on a road trip, having a conversation with myself essentially, with the camera up on the dashboard. So I do appreciate it. If you're out there, please put thumbs up, is always nice. A comment is always great. Check out my previous videos. I know they're low production value, but essentially at this point, you're kind of getting what you pay for. And it's kind of one of those things where it is a bit of a hobby for me from that standpoint. So I do appreciate it. Again, subscriptions. If I get to the 500 mark, I might actually go and get myself a proper camera and a proper mic and start kind of putting a little energy into it. I think we're around that 375, 400 range right now, which is spectacular, given that what I talk about is very much a small niche in Ontario. There's very few people actually out there doing TURO, and there's very few people out there really doing the whole day-to-day, how does this work? Because it's a little boring, just to be honest with you. But that kind of gives you an idea. again, subscriptions would be nice. And if you've got any comments or you got any questions about TURO, again, I answer all that in the live sessions, which are usually on the weekends. Have a pleasant and enjoyable day.